I have more fondness for it than George does.
The movie? Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, it's so great, though. He doesn't know what it is he's saying or doing that's drawing the ire of the bullies in his class.
Well, it's clearly the haircut.
Man, blood really pops on the snow, doesn't it? I love blood spatter on snow. This film is just the absolute ultimate in Mean Girls cinema.
Yeah.
And this is the scene that does it.
And we're back for Fright Club, Gateway Film Center.
Yay!
High Street, Columbus, Ohio, for Fright Club Live, and we love it. This is for the second or third time we've moved to Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. And we've got something that we've only done a few times in the years that we've had Fright Club. We have a premiere of a brand new movie.
We're very excited about this. When we were, when Chris Hamill and I were talking about what films we were going to program, and he said, hey, in October, if you don't mind moving from the second week to the first week, you could probably premiere Piggy. And I was just like, do it! Get it for me! And then I would just check back periodically. Are we doing Piggy? And I've never stalked him about anything like I have about this. Hey, remember that time you promised me Piggy? And he's like, I didn't promise you anything, freak. But anyway, guess what we have?
And it's really cool because some of you here may remember this started from, this is the feature from a short that was shown here at Gateway for Nightmares Film Festival. They showed the Piggy short
They did.
a couple of years ago. So
They did.
It's very cool that we get to premiere it here tonight back at Gateway for the feature-length version. And it's always a little dangerous when somebody expands a short because you think, okay, are they going to just make filler to turn a 20-minute short into an hour-and-a-half movie? No. You'll find out tonight it's not. It's not filler at all. It's killer, not filler.
That's right.
And you'll find that. So we're going to show that as we're going to talk about Bullies and Mean Girls in horror. But before that, we want to say thank you for the great time we had last time right here at Gateway as we did Fright Club Live with Blackcoat's Daughter.
Yes, that was super fun. We talked about Satanists and Satanism in movies. And it's funny because our friend Timothy Troy posted that he was excited to listen to it because that was his favorite sort of subgenre, but he never said if he liked the podcast or not, or if he agreed.
Well, but it was great to see Blackcoat's Daughter again on the big screen.
It's a great movie for the big screen.
And I think people liked it.
Yeah, they seemed to.
Yeah, and we were talking about this a little bit in Happy Hour because as we tape this right now, this was the opening day for the new Hellraiser.
Yeah.
So, who has seen the new Hellraiser? Did you jump in today yet? No, nobody.
Nobody
yet? Well, that's great. It's awesome.
It's so good.
It is awesome. We loved it. We're both big fans of the original Hellraiser, and I think this is not going to disappoint anyone if you like the first one.
Oh, my God, it's so good.
It's really fantastic.
And the creature design is glorious.
Yeah, and so is the box. The box is a little different once they open it.
Yeah.
So, but we're not going to say anything about that, except enjoy it.
Yes, we loved it.
Okay, so we're talking about Bullies and Mean Girls, which ties right in to the movie tonight. And there's a lot of possibilities. And so you had some that were worth a mention but didn't quite make the cut, correct?
Yes. So many, in fact, that I have to pick up the paper because I couldn't remember them all off the top of my head. So I'm disappointing in myself. Unfriended. Not everybody liked that one. I enjoyed that one.
I did too. And I actually liked the sequel as well.
That's right.
I thought they were both pretty solid.
Jawbreaker. Not really a horror movie, but clearly a Bullies movie. Jennifer's Body and The Craft. There's one you may have missed called Mon 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 Monster, which I recommend. It's a Japanese film, and I recommend it. #horror. We were just talking about Chloe Sevigny earlier, and she's in that one. That's a pretty good one. #horror. Unhuman, The Shed, and Teddy. So these were all ones that kind of bounced around in my head.
I had forgotten about The Shed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised because I know you have a lot of love for Jennifer's Body. I'm surprised they didn't make it. I like it too.
Yeah. I'm a big fan, but these are good. The ones we have, these are good, and they're a little bit more. I mean, they're a little bit more bully centric. I mean, she's a mean girl. Jennifer is a mean girl, and she turns into a really ravenous, flesh hungry mean girl. So if we'd have gone 6, she'd have probably made the list. But I'm not allowed to do fuzzy math.
Not on the lives. We have to keep it moving because we've got a deadline to hit. It's a great theme because it ties into the movie we're going to show tonight. So let's get at it. This is one we got a top 5 of our Mean Girls and Bullies in horror, and this is a favorite from 1983 at number 5. Angela, a shy, traumatized young girl, is sent to summer camp with her cousin. Shortly after her arrival, anyone with sinister or less than honorable intentions toward her gets their comeuppance. Sleepaway Camp.
So look out, Judy.
Hey, Angela. How come you never take showers when the rest of us do? Huh? You queer or something? Oh, I know what it is. You haven't reached puberty yet. Is that it? I bet you don't even have your period. That's enough, Judy. Angela's allowed to shower in the morning or any other time she wants to. Yeah. She takes showers when no one can see. She has no hair down below. Judy, she's a real carpenter's dream. The light is a board and needs a screw. That's enough. Fuck off.
Judy.
Judy's a gem. Could have been Meg, but I think if you're going to rank the bullies, the mean girls in Sleepaway Camp, Judy is clearly the winner. We were talking about it earlier. One of the things that puts Judy ahead of everybody else is how well she rocks that side ponytail. And I've always envied it. So, but no, she's great. I love that. Huh? Yeah, she's the best. And it's a fun movie in terms of that, in terms of, one of the reasons that there are so many movies and horror movies with mean girls and bullies is because, power is the whole point of a horror movie. Who doesn't have it, who does have it, how they get it. And everybody loves a good comeuppance against a mean girl and a bully. And so it really fits in well. And it's perfect for this particular film. She has to be picked on to the point of finally just breaking. And, man, nobody does a better job of it than Judy. Although, essentially, the whole camp is out to get her.
Yeah, pretty much. And actually, his name's Willie Cuskin, who plays one of the bullied camp boys, apparently actually was bullied during filming. And one of the actors who played a camp counselor had to step in.
Oh.
And other members took it too
That's a
far.
terrible story.
Yeah, so there was some bullying going on. And one thing I had to mention, and you'll know why, when some of the campers, when they're getting off the buses at the beginning of the film, they are relatives of the cast and crew. You say, so what? Well, here's so what. Because that is probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. Because if you remember, they're getting off the bus, and they're basically sprinting, and they're just being yelled at to run faster. And I'm sitting there the last time watching it going, they're sprinting. What do you want? And they're just screaming at them like boot camp drill sergeants, come on, get moving. And then when their tiny little shorts are just running so fast. That struck me the last time when we hung out with Felissa Rose and watched it. I just walked in the theater when that scene was up, and I'm like, what's going on here? Which is great. That movie's so great for that because you can do it at any time. Just walk away, then come back and walk in, and you're probably at some batshit crazy scene.
Yeah, essentially, no matter what scene it is, your reaction is going to be, what's going on here? What are you wearing right now? Is there anybody here who hasn't seen Sleepaway Camp?
Wow. Okay.
Remedy that situation.
Right. Well, you know what? That's good to know because we won't talk about the thing.
No,
we
won't.
We're not going to mention that.
We won't.
Yeah, we will not.
But it is. I have more fondness for it than George does.
The movie?
The movie Sleepaway Camp?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, it's so great though.
But it's terrible in a good, fun way.
Oh my God, it's just it's such a train wreck. You watch it and have a stroke. You're like, what the hell?
And it
in
has,
the best way.
And it has one of the most iconic twist endings in the history of horror.
And some of the best kill sequences you'll ever see. It's nuts.
Yeah, so we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
But yeah, bullying at number 5. It's Sleepaway Camp from 1983. Taking up to, a lot more recent from 2017. Movie set in the summer of 1989. A group of bullied kids, I should say. A group of bullied kids band together to destroy a shape-shifting monster which disguises itself as a clown and preys on the children of Derry, their small Maine town, It.
Are you in there by yourself, Beaverly? Or do you have half the guys in the school with you, huh, slut? I know you're in there, little shit. I can smell you. No wonder you don't have any friends.
Which is it, Greta? Am I a slut or a little shit? Make up your mind.
You're trash. We just wanted to remind you.
Such a loser.
Well, at least now you'll smell better.
Gross.
Let's go, girls. Have a nice summer, Beaverly.
I did not choose that clip because they played The Cult. I did. I love Love Removal Machine. No, everybody remembers the stone throwing and the and the bullies with mullets, and rightly so. But I think people forget how bad Beverly had it too. So I thought, let's watch some random Japanese subtitled version of that scene.
And it helps, cement her in with the quote unquote losers, the losers club.
Yes.
Because they're looked upon as the losers club and trying to fight off the fact that they are losers. I mean, it's a theme that permeates the movie, and it helps especially when they move it, because I love the fact that they moved it into the 80s.
Yeah, me too.
For this, and they got the timestamp so right.
Yes.
And the way that kids were acting at that time. I mean, I know there's always been bullies, but it just felt really authentic.
Yeah, I think that Stephen King had a knack for bullies. He does a really good job. This isn't the only Stephen King that we'll talk about with bullies today. And I think that he does a really good job understanding the dynamic between, that he doesn't ever, they're never one-dimensional, the bullies or the victims. They're never, the victims are never complete saints. These kids that are getting picked on, they're never 100% wholesome, good kids. They're just normal human beings, which I always appreciate. And I think that it works out really well in this. I mean, the miniseries from the 90s, it was good. It did a good job with it, but not like this. And the kid with the mullet, who turns out to be, sort of Pennywise's minion.
Yeah.
He's great.
He really is. And, of course, like all bullies, he's feeling bullied himself. The fact where he has to pass on that sort of, treatment to somebody else.
Henry Bowers.
Yeah, Henry. And actually in the book, or in the film, Henry, when he carves his name onto Ben's stomach, that's depicted in the film as a random act of cruelty. But in the book, Henry targets Ben specifically because he tried to force Ben to let him cheat off him and test, and he wouldn't do it.
Oh.
So it's a little more of a random bullying in the movie, but it's understandable. You have to cut things.
Yeah. Have you seen that book? It's 500,000 pages long.
It is.
They made 2 full-length movies out of it and still had to cut stuff.
But it's such an effective film, and that's
the sex scenes. Thank God.
Yeah. But I think that's one of the things that made the second part that much more a little disappointing, because man, I was so impressed by this first part.
Yes.
It just set the bar so high.
It really did.
Not that the second part was terrible, but
No.
it was sort of a letdown from
Right.
this.
And Henry came back.
Yeah.
And he still had a mullet.
Yeah. He did. That is number 4 on our list of bullies and mean girls in horror, It, from 2017. So moving up to number 3, another favorite of ours. This is from 2008. Oscar, an overlooked and bullied boy, finds love and revenge through Ellie, a beautiful but peculiar girl. Let the right one in.
Pir. Vad duktig du var, grisen.
So that is not the best bullying scene in this movie. There's 2 reasons I chose this. One is the pig thing at the end, because it keeps with our theme. And the other is, if you haven't seen this movie, the best bullying scene I couldn't possibly show you, because it ruins a masterpiece of a film.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, see it right away. But also, I think that this gives you gives you a good setup of poor Oscar, who just doesn't know what it is he's saying or doing that's drawing the ire of the bullies in his class.
Well, it's clearly the haircut.
That has to have something to do with it. But this is, and there's, as we've said many times, there's an English language version,
Let Me In,
which is also extremely good.
It really is.
But I do think the bully storyline works better in the original.
Yeah, and it's such a big part of the movie between the 2 characters, Ellie, who you don't see, but it's such a big reason why Oscar feels so grateful to have a friend.
Yes.
And to feel love with someone and acceptance, and it's such a theme of how they bond, and they're bonding for different reasons. But I love this movie. I love Let Me In as well. I guess this is now also a miniseries.
It is,
I think.
yeah. It's a TV show.
Yeah, okay. It's such a great story and so well done. Hey, come on in. And yeah, bullying. There's a couple of, like you just mentioned, there's a couple of just classic scenes of bullying and revenge.
Yeah, there's 2 really in particular
yeah.
that are just stand out. And one of the reasons that the one works as well as the first time that Oscar stands up for himself, because a lot of the action in this movie is shot in this way. It's from a distance.
Yes.
It's these gorgeous outdoor wide shots, and it's always snowy and cold, and these small figures in front of you, and that's where the violence takes place. And the first time, and then man, blood really pops on the snow, doesn't it? I love blood spatter on snow, and you've got a lot of it in this movie.
You do.
And so there's one scene where he first stands up for himself that's great, but then the other, of course, and then we're not going to talk too much about it again if you haven't seen it, it takes place in a pool, and it's easily the best scene ever shot in a pool.
And the great thing about it was when we saw the second one for the first time, I thought, how are they going to top? And it's not like they topped it, but they made a subtle change that was also very effective.
Yes.
So really well done. But,
both of them. We love both those movies.
But bullying such a theme in this one, the connection between the characters. And it's number 3. Let the right one in from 2008 as we talk about bullies and mean girls in horror. And we'll go up to number 2, and this is the one we're going to see tonight, so we're not going to talk much about it. An overweight teen is bullied by a clique of cool girls poolside while holidaying in her village, and the long walk home will change the rest of her life. It's Piggy. Yeah, this is really, really effective, and it's led by just a fantastic lead performance by Laura Galan. Is that her name? Which I think you'll see. She's fantastic, and it's a movie. We had heard a little bit about it beforehand, that it got brutal. It's nasty, and for a while when we were watching it the first time, I thought, well, does it? And then it does. So hang in there because it's coming.
Yeah, we don't want to say anything about it because we know you probably haven't seen it because this is the premiere and we're
Yay!
very excited. But we have gotten a chance to see it, and it's amazing. I mean, I'm so thrilled to get to watch it with you guys.
Yeah, and as you could tell from the trailer, bullying is a major part of this as well.
Yeah.
The way they treat her, and it's great. Part of the performance is so, as you mentioned earlier today when we were taping our other podcast, so much of her lead performance is silent. It's in her face. And how she knows what they're saying to her.
Yeah, she barely speaks until about 45 minutes into this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing performance. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And we hope that you'll come down afterwards and tell us a little bit about what you thought.
Yeah, please. We'd love to have you on the podcast afterwards. And also the relationship with her mother.
Oh, yeah.
Is also very important to this as well. So we will move on, but be sure to come down. We'll talk about it afterwards. We'd love to get your thoughts on Piggy. That is number 2.
90 minutes later, and be aware there are spoilers for the movie Piggy in this discussion.
That is writer-director Carlotta
Pareda.
That's well done.
It is well done.
Yeah, there's so much. It was really interesting to see it again and to catch some other things. I was really impressed with, especially at the end. I mean, you don't know
When
what
she shoots that
what
gun.
she shot, right?
No, you don't.
I mean, you don't. And she lets you hang on that question just long enough.
Yeah.
Because you could go either way.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. And you see what I mean by it builds up to that brutality. It takes a little while, but it gets there.
It does. And we were talking about this earlier. I think that that's really important. The first, 30 or 40 minutes of the movie, what happens to Sarah is horrifying, just horrifying, heartbreaking and awful. And it has to be because when she doesn't do anything, you think, like when you watch the trailer, like, wow, she didn't do anything. But you know what? When you get to that moment in the film, obviously, she's terrified of this man. But at the same time, you're like, I don't know that I would want to help that girl either. Which is, I mean, it's a hard moment to get to, but I think this film does a really nice job of getting you to that moment.
Yeah, and telling you things without telling you things.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can assume a lot about the killer.
Yeah.
That he sees a lot maybe of himself. You can imagine that he was bullied, maybe not, but why is he coming to her aid like that? And then there's the relationship with her own mother.
Her mom, yeah.
Which made me think of Carrie in a different way.
In a different way. I mean, because this one was much more like garden variety.
Yeah.
Where the mom is just like, oh, I didn't say anything. Well, you just wait. And you think, boy, that's the worst possible response to this. Like, what's the matter with you? But unlike Carrie, which is brilliant, but I mean, you're like, no, I buy that. Like, this is exactly the defensive, you just embarrassed me in front of the town kind of response.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when she's on the floor, you're like, no, she does love her. I mean, it's a very, I think, layered and emotional film.
Yeah, and there's so much, we talk a lot about visual storytelling. Love it. I mean, that early shot when she's diving and you see the other guy in the
see the lifeguard. See the lifeguard down there, and she doesn't.
She doesn't see it.
Nice shot.
It's so great.
It's a nice shot.
Love that.
So what I wanted to say about was the end. You know, he drives up on his motorcycle and says, "It's all over now." She's covered in blood. He doesn't question anything. I mean, how does he not know what's going on?
I love you. So there are two things about that last scene. First of all, is that it made me think immediately of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is one of my favorite movies, and there's a lot of butchering in it. But also, you know, when she finally gets away, she's just covered in blood and a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
But you don't know what the truck driver thinks as he's driving her off, you know. Whereas this one, you get like the handsome young white man was like, "Oh, you're fine. It's all fine. You know what? Like 15 minutes ago, you totally fucked me with the cops.
Yeah.
You suck." It's a fascinating, and then, you know, I think it's a nice echo of early in the film when Claudia is riding away on the back of his bike and all happy and puts her face in the back of his, you know, but it's the completely opposite moment.
I like the reintroduction. Just when I was worrying, what happened to the little brother? Oh, he had to go use the restroom. Oh, what about the bull? Oh, there's the bull.
Yeah.
Oh, what about Claudio? Oh, there's Claudio. They keep popping back up.
I loved the horn, right? Just the bull's horn. That's what she sees when she wakes up for just a second, like through the windshield. That was a good visual.
Yeah, and it's just really, when you think about that, this is an expansion of a short.
Yeah.
It's so fleshed out. Now maybe, you know, a lot of filmmakers have the feature in mind before they do the short, and that may be. But even so, anytime that you can expand a short like this, and none of it, you can't think of any of it as filler.
No.
At all.
Oh my
it's
God,
all
no.
so necessary.
Yeah, it really is.
In telling the story, that it's so impressive.
I just want to
impressive.
say again, though, that lead performance was
She's great.
just magnificent.
She's great.
Just magnificent.
Yeah, isn't she great?
Well, I think something with this movie that you don't see with a lot of them is, you know, keeping the agency with Sarah.
Yeah.
Is, you know, so much, I think Hope brought up, especially with Carrie, is the idea of Sue Snell, you know, coming in and being almost this hero character, coming in like, I'm the person that's, I'm sort of with the bullies, but I'm not. I don't really care about them, and that's just as shitty as being a bully too. You didn't say anything. And Claudia in this movie, and the idea that she's this victim, and she is, and the idea that there's a serial killer out there trying to victimize these women out there, but she was just as shitty to Sarah as all the other girls were. But the movie wisely keeps all the agency with Sarah throughout the entire movie. That there's this quote unquote hero serial killer that is victimizing, or that is killing all the people that victimize Sarah. But he's just as terrible as everyone else, and she's not on board with what he is doing, you know, as well. He's quote unquote saving her, and she's like, I don't need saving, but it's unspoken, like, you know, Hope brought up with the loss of dialogue throughout the movie. There's so much that's said throughout the movie with just dialogue, or not dialogue, but, you know, the visuals throughout there. It's so great.
It is, you know, and I love that the filmmaker really complicates all of the individual characters, you know, and that she, Sarah, I mean, she masturbates thinking about the moment of intimacy that she had with a man who's a horrible murderer, who's murdered the lifeguard. You know what I mean? Didn't just save her from the bullies, didn't just sort of, you know, take vengeance on her behalf, but is a horrible person. But she had this connection with it she's not had with anybody else. And I love the way the film complicates all of the characters. But you're right, Brandon, I love the Sue Snell / Claudia idea, because it's the Claudia of the Mean Girls who hurts you the most.
Sure.
The one who was your friend in the 4th grade, who all of a sudden, you know, it isn't, because, and she doesn't just stand by, she takes the towel.
Yeah, she
which
takes
is the
the
last horrible,
the last
most,
indignity.
Yeah, it was the last
because
indignity.
you can tell when they're in the butcher's shop, because the dad he's friendly to her, like, oh, we're all friends, and so you know there's some history there.
They've got the bracelet.
They got the bracelet, that they used to be friends. So that's the cruelest cut.
Yeah, it is
for sure.
One thing I got to give props for is the script, like how pretty much like the first third of the movie introduces you to all the characters and doesn't show you a lot of like the shock and gore until later on in the movie. That way you feel for like Sarah and how she's bullied by the others and even her mother as well. So like, which makes her even much more of a complex character, and I got to give props to the actress for that.
So like with all these movies, I like how they put you in her shoes, so you're feeling all of her feelings as they happen, and without being spoilery, I like how you think you know who she is because you have put up with all this through the movie. Then at the end of the movie, it shows her true character, and it kind of surprises you and kind of makes you look at yourself a little bit like I did. Like, yeah, I guess I'm kind of shitty too. Like, I don't know. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, because anytime there's a comeuppance story, you kind of want you want to see them get theirs. But then at the end, the choice she makes, like we talked about a little bit earlier, the director, the filmmaker, just leaves it enough beats where you don't know what exactly did she do.
I like how Hope was talking about how the characters are complicated because how they complicate everything. Because you start this movie out like I've seen this movie before. This poor girl has been abused, and now it's time for her to exact her revenge. And that's not what happens at all. And you don't see that coming. And it really is unlike any of these type of movies before. It really takes that turn and gives it that twist and layers that you've not seen with this. And I thought it was fantastic.
But, even early on, the hunting, there's like a hunting you got to go. So, that by the time she grabs that gun, she does know what she's doing.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys liked it. And it's anytime we have a premiere, we're excited. And because they've not all gone over this well. I'm thinking of The Dead Don't Die, but that's all right.
I think the audience liked The Dead Don't Die.
We know, I know we did. But
I know I did.
Yes, I know I did too. Well, great. Thank you so much, guys, for coming out. This was a lot of fun, and I'm glad we got to premiere it tonight. Actually, it's in limited theaters this weekend, and it's going to go wide next weekend.
Yeah, so by next week, starting next Friday, it'll have a full run here.
As we move up to number one, because we got a few minutes left here, and you can probably guess the number one Bullies and Mean Girls in horror, Carrie, a shy, friendless teenage girl who is sheltered by her domineering religious mother unleashes her telekinetic powers after being humiliated by her classmates at her senior prom, 1976. Carrie.
What are you doing? Now relax, calm down. Listen to me. Listen, it's okay. You're just gonna stand up and take care of yourself. Now, come on. Now, grow up. Stand up and take care of yourself. Come on, do it.
And I went back and forth, to be honest with you. I went back and forth between this and Piggy for number one. But I think, and I've said this before, this film is just the absolute ultimate in Mean Girls cinema.
Yeah.
And this is the scene that does it. And the thing is, it's such a great introduction to the film. It's the first scene in the movie. Holy shit. And then also to this character, because you're like, how do you not know what's going on right now? And it just tells you, I think, so much about who she is and where she comes from and what they're going to introduce us to soon. And, of course, just like Piggy, there's some issues with the mom. I don't know if you know that.
And it takes us back to that golden age when gym teachers slapped their students. Which was
she slaps at least two people in this movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's pretty great.
Betty Buckley,
yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah,
but yeah, obviously bullying is a huge part of this because not only is she being bullied, obviously from that iconic scene that we just saw, but then how they trick her to make her think, of course, that she's accepted, and then the fact that she's not just puts her over the edge and unleashes the hellfire and the powers. So it's a major thread that the entire movie is built on.
Yeah, and of course, Sissy Spacek was nominated for an Oscar for this, and she's amazing.
And so was Piper Laurie.
She was.
Yeah.
And I do think that PJ Souls with that stupid hat, she makes a great bully. Chris Hargison and Billy Dolan, John Travolta. Yeah, I mean, it's a really, really well-cast movie, and it's such a great 70s movie. It's such a 70s movie. All these girls are showing up to do, like, calisthenics after work without bras on. Wow, the 70s must have been so sore.
And all the teachers, everybody's smoking.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when they're in that scene where Betty Buckley keeps calling her
White,
Cassie,
yeah.
there's just butts everywhere. Yeah, it's an incredible timestamp. But there's so many scenes and movies where kids are known to be cruel, but it's just it's so realized here because they're not only cruel but they're organized cruel.
Yeah.
They set this up in this outlandish prank with the pig's blood and everything, and it's just so heartbreaking.
It really is. But this first scene, and of course, so they remade it, and then they remade it with
Chloe Grace Moretz.
They also remade it with from May. Thank you, Angela Bettis. It's been remade a number of times. This scene strikes me in the original as being unnervingly authentic. I mean, aside from the sort of cheesecloth tampon ad kind of a Brian De Palma touch to the actual shooting of it, because it feels spontaneous. And about half of these girls, Sue Snell among them, they don't even really recognize that what they're doing is horrifying and will scar and traumatize this poor girl the rest of her life. That she thinks she's dying, and instead of helping her, they're making fun of her. Like, what they're doing right now is the worst thing most people will ever do in their whole lives. And half of these girls don't even know it. It doesn't dawn on them what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, and to me, it's the most incredibly impressive opening to a film. What you know when you start this movie is not only is this movie going to scare the shit out of me, it is going to break my heart.
But as you alluded to earlier, it also sets up those questions about the character of Carrie. Like, why doesn't she know what's happening?
Yeah.
What the hell is going on with her? And then, of course, you find out how sheltered she is by her mother. So, it sets up so much in the opening scene, but it's such an incredible display of cruelty and bullying, and you always bring up Sue Snell because
Sue Snell, because the worst thing you can do in a horror movie is change your mind and be nice to the outsider. That's the worst thing. And in real life, please try and do that. But in a horror movie, you will be repaid with bloodletting.
So number one on our list of mean girls and bullies in horror is Carrie, and we just got a few minutes to go, so we got to get moving. We've got Piggy coming up here in just a few minutes, so please come down, especially since it's a premiere. We want to get your thoughts on the movie afterwards, and if you don't have a Fright Club button, we got a few left. Pick it up. So just a reminder that coming up very soon, if you don't know, Nightmares Film Festival right here at Gateway Film Center. Such a tremendous film festival right here in our backyard. I mean, we would say that even if our movie was not going to play in it, but it is. So thank you. We've got
the trailer.
The trailer for Obstacle Corpse. It's going to play the premiere October 21st right here, 10 p.m. at Nightmares Film Festival, and we have a trailer to show.
When was the last time you did something for the first time? Do you remember that thrill, that rush of adrenaline? How far are you willing to go to get that back?
Is he smoking?
How hard could you push yourself to find the warrior that's been in you all along?
Are you ready for this?
Are you the predator or the prey?
Have you seen a couple of runners? Nerdy man bleeding. He's with a little skinny woman, not yet bleeding.
I hate to say it, friend, but I'm not taking my chances with Chef Boyardee out there. That man is terrifying.
Yeah.
Yay!
Written and directed by Hope Madden. And we filmed that earlier this May.
We did. And did you notice the person jumping over fire? That was me. Because if the real person got caught on fire and died, we would be in a shitload of trouble. So we thought I could get caught on fire and die, and that would be less of a problem.
But
so
you
anyway,
didn't, which was
nice. I did
so
not.
Yeah, we're going to have that premiere Friday night, October 21st, 10 o'clock right here, followed by a Q&A, folled by a little party.
That's right.
After that, because we cannot believe this is actually a movie.
Fucking done.
This has taken over our lives for the last 2 years, and but you know what? It's really fun. It's a fun
really
movie.
Fun. And a whole bunch of the cast will be here, and they are magnificent.
They really are.
They're
great.
so great.
They're great. There's some great kills, some great blood effects done by the great David Greathouse.
Greathouse.
So I hope you'll come.
The Kevin Smith movie Tusk, the same guy that did the makeup effects for Tusk did our makeup effects, which is insane.
I know. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's about 85 minutes. It moves. It's funny. There's a lot of blood, a lot of killing.
31 people. We kill 31 people
Yeah.
in under 90 minutes.
Including
We're very
me.
proud. That's right. George dies. Yep, he does.
So, that's a good thing. So come on out and just overall, and if you don't know, Nightmares Film Festival is just a fantastic horror film festival. So come out and check. You'll see a ton of great shorts and a ton of great films, feature films, and make a lot of great friends. So looking forward to that. And next time after that, we're going to have the next Fright Club Live is going to be on November 4th, and we're going to talk about Conjurings Gone Wrong and watch Deathgasm. That's a fun movie.
It is very fun.
Deathgasm is a fun movie, so especially to see with a crowd.
Yeah.
So we hope you come back. All right, we got a movie to show. Come on down afterwards, and we'll talk about Piggy. Until then, we hope to see you at Nightmares Film Festival. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Fright Club Podcast.